A very good morning to all the students. I hope every one of you is in your best health. So today we're going to start our next chapter of our biology section, that is chapter 8, How do organisms reproduce? So we have been studying this topic since our class 8th. So we have a little idea about this. Since we all know that the process of giving birth to a new individual is called as reproduction. And this process is very important because it is very essential for every species to maintain their existence in this earth. So for that, the organisms reproduce. So the simple definition is the production of new organisms from the existing organisms of the same species is known as reproduction. Reproduction also becomes important because we know that no species in this world is immortal. Like anything which takes birth has to die one day. So if it does not reproduce, so when it dies, there will be no other individual left of that kind in this world. Just imagine we are having the last piece of mango on our hand, and if they don't reproduce, we won't be able to eat any mango or see any mango ever. Or our pet, our dog in our house, if they don't reproduce, there will be a day when every single dog will extinct. So every single individual reproduce so that they can continue keeping their species on this earth. Now, with the help of your book, we will have more detailed study of this topic. First, we're going to start with this. Do organisms create their exact copies? Before studying all this reproduction, we should know that the basic of reproduction came from the thing that whenever the individuals reproduce, like we know that the individuals reproduce by two types. That means there are two types of reproduction. One is the asexual mode of reproduction and the other is sexual mode of reproduction. So in both the cases, the process goes in a different type. If we see that the basic unit of our life is cell, because cell is the only thing out of which all the tissues are made, and from that organisms are made, and then the organ system is made, and the individuals are made. So if we take a cell, like just cell, so cell has the nucleus inside it, and we all know that inside the nucleus we have a very important component that is called as the chromosome. So we have a chromosome inside the nucleus, and chromosome contain the information of an inheritance of an individual in the form of the gene or DNA. So this is the DNA which carries all the information of an individual. Okay, now this DNA can be deoxyribonucleic acid. So you have to learn this name. Everything is given in your NCERT book. Now this deoxyribonucleic acid is a chain of it's a kind of a double helical structure which is made up of two polynucleotide chains. So one chain is this and one is this. So this chain has some base pairs in them. So these having 10 bands, for example. So they are the base pair, or we can call as the nucleotides. Along with that, they have sugar and phosphate group attached to the end. So these base pair, I am explaining you because you will be using this adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine. So A, T, C and G. So the pairing is done like this: A always combined with T and C always combined with G. It can be sometimes that T combines with A and G will come first and it will combine with, sorry, it's only two, with C. So this is how the pairing is done. Base pairs I like A, T, G, C, then C, G, C, G, T, A, T. It can be of any type. So this is the coding, and every individual has a different sequencing of DNA. Now, when our cell divides, when the cell divides, they this DNA makes copy of themselves. So because every cell needs to have the equal number of chromosomes, and we know that the chromosomes are made of DNA, so the DNA will make a copy of itself, it will replicate and it will make a copy of itself. So the DNA will break into this bond will break, and then they will form a different bond. Like one is they will be getting one here, and the other one will be set apart. So they will have their own create their own base pairs, and this is how they will make a new DNA. So they will make a copy of each other. So since in any chemical reactions it is not possible to have a same kind of a Xerox copy, so there will be different variations. Every time the variations will not be very drastic, it will be a slight variations, but in each cases there will be variations. So when the cell divides, the DNA will also make copy of itself, and the cell will divide into two. So there will be two cells. So the two cells will be having equal number of, like it was having 46 chromosomes, and it will also have 46 chromosomes and 46 here. So the DNA also got divide. So they create copy, one copy. So the copied DNA will have a cell, so it will move here. So by this formation of new cells and the copying, there comes the variation. So the DNA cannot create exact copies of themselves. They cannot make the exact Xerox copy of themselves. Yeah, they try to make the copy, but the thing goes like this. Like this is the cell. So the cell will make cell has the DNA. Okay, so sorry, this is the cell, and cell has these chromosomes, and chromosomes has the DNA, and DNA will convert it into RNA, then RNA will be converted into protein, and then this protein will eventually form body design of the individual. So if there will be any variation in this DNA, so the protein will be changed and the body design will be changed. That is why there is the variations. So every individual have some variations, so they are not the exact copies of themselves. So when you know that in the cell division, there are two types of division, that is mitotic divisions and meiosis division. So mitosis division stands for the divisions which are helped in the body growth and body generation, repair and growth. And in the mitosis and meiosis, the difference is that the number of chromosomes remains same, and here it becomes half number of chromosomes, and it is used for the repair and growth, and it is used for the genetic formation of the gametes. In this there are diploid number of diploid cells, and it is haploid cells, and in this 2 daughter cells are formed, and in this 4 daughter cells are formed. So you have learned this in your class 9. So whenever this meiosis is formed inside the body, it is not a part of a sexual mode of reproduction, but it is it's responsible when there is sexual mode of reproduction. Like mitosis also takes place in the binary fission or multiple fission, but meiosis only takes place when there is a formation of gametes, and gametes are formed when there is sexual reproduction. So the number of times the DNA will replicate, the number of times there will be variations, and the individual will not be the exact copy. Since we see that when the organisms reproduce asexually, they sometimes look exactly same because the number of replications are less. But when the offsprings are born, we see that the child resembles like their parent, but they are not the identical copy. Although their looks can be same, but they are not the copy. So when the DNA makes their copy, and we know that in any biochemical reaction, the reaction is not always the same, so there will be a difference or some variation each time. If the variations is very drastic, then the individual or the organism form will be so different that it won't be able to survive in that circumstances or in that position, so it won't be able to survive. But it does not happen that the change does not occur to a one level to the different level, so it just takes place gradually. Since the DNA is the main thing and it separates and it makes copies, and those copies are given in the other cells so that the cell can give rise to the another individual. But if the copy are exact, so the individual will be the exact same, but it does not happen because no biochemical reactions is absolutely reliable. That means in any biochemical reactions there are chances that it will have some variations, and because of these variation each time the DNA which copies can be similar but they are not identical. They have some similarities because they are having a same kind of DNA, but every time it makes its copy it has some little variations in them. Like if you are trying to if you'd have drawn some drawing of by yourself and then you want to make again, the next time you want to make, you will have little there will be little variations, and then the third time you'll make, it will have more variations. So each time you make, it will be very very far from the first one. So each time the DNA make its copy, it becomes the different from the first and then the second and the third. Because of this variation, this evolution has been able to possible. So the variation is very important in the DNA, but then we have to know that the variations are not that drastic that it will come from one level to the next different level. For example, if a bacteria can survive at 100-degree temperature, and suddenly the new bacteria which is formed from that bacteria, like the new offspring, has a variation in their RNA or DNA. So it will not be, so variation is so drastic that it won't be able to survive in 100-degree temperature. It will want a temperature of 40 degrees C. So what will happen, that bacteria will not be able to survive in that niche. Now a niche is a kind of a range of a physical or a biological condition in which a species lives. Any individual, where do they live, that is called as their niche. So that for example, a niche is an environment where they are very where they are comfortable and they can survive in that area. So that is a niche. So it will not be able to survive in that temperature. So a drastic variation can also lead to the death of that individual. So there are not drastic variations, but the variations are done by step. For example, the human evolution. The human evolution has has been done from the monkey, and then firstly the early human beings were standing on their forearms or walking on their forearms. Then suddenly they stood up, and this is how we are now. So it has been a very very gradual process. So the DNA replicated from one copy to the other, and then it takes thousands of years to make individual like us. So every time the DNA makes a copy, there is a variation. So now the importance of variation. So variation is very important, because if there is no variation, then there will be no change in the organisms, and the organisms will not be able to make their advanced version. So it is also important because in any adaptation or any individual, when they are very very comfortable in any niche or they are living in that, so they adapt some features like example, xerophytes live in the sandy area where there is less water, but because they have plant bodies adapted in that mode, they don't have leaves, so they just reduce transpiration. They have thick stems and thorns, so this is their adaptation, so they can survive in their niche. So because it has been done because of the help of the variations. So, because those xerophytes are adapted to live in that place, so they are in their niche. But suddenly, if it starts raining in the desert, what will happen? All the xerophytes will just melt, or they will just wilt down, because they are adapted to have less water. But because of the variations, there will be some plants form which are in the moderate version, like they can survive with a little water. so they will survive. So this variation is very important. Like here also written, there are some bacteria which live in certain temperature, but there will be generations produced in which they are variations, so they can survive in the more temperature exceed 60, and then the next will be almost 80. There will be some individuals, so if the temperature rises up, there will be some species of the same bacteria, same species, but they are having variations which can survive in those kind of situations. So variations is always important, but the drastic variations can lead to the death of an individual. So variations can be beneficial, or it can be sometimes bad also, and sometimes it do not cause any difference in an individual. So variations for an evolution is very important, but for an individual it can be it can have moderate effects on an individual. So this is about this topic. So we're gonna start the main topic of the chapter. This is also an important topic. Sometimes questions comes from this topic, and students generally leave this topic because you will not find it in any other refreshers and all. So this is just in NCERT. So I want you to have read of this thoroughly with the help of pencil, so that you can understand each and every line of this page. And if you still have any doubt, you can ask me. So now okay, now then the mode of reproduction. Now mode of reproductions are very simple, that we know that there are two modes of reproduction, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. First we're going to start with the asexual reproduction. That is, asexual reproduction is the reproduction of a new organisms from a single parent. Now we know that in the asexual reproduction there is only one parent, so no fusion of gamete is involved, because there are no gametes. They will just reproduce from a single parent, and they will almost produce the exact copy, because the the DNA copy is less, because there is only one cell will form. It will be a mitotic division. The cell will just divide into this second cell, so it will have the less variation, so it can be a copy. Okay, now so we will come to the types of asexual reproduction. So there are many types of asexual reproduction, like here it's written fission. So first we'll start with the fission, and we all know that in the unicellular organisms there is a fission, or we can call multiple fission. So when it splits into or divides into two organisms, they will divide into two half, or maybe different than 2 or 4 or 7 or 10. It is called as fission. So fission can be of two types, that is binary fission and multiple fission. Now first we'll take the example of this amoeba. So amoeba undergoes the binary fission. In this binary fission, the cell has to divide. Very important is that the cell has to divide, because if cell does not divide, the other cell formed will not be able to survive. So the nucleus has to be divided. So what happens here, if it's a cell, so first the nuclear membrane will be ruptured, and after that the nucleus will be separated. So when the nucleus lengthens and then it divides into two parts, then only the cytoplasm divides, and then the two smaller bodies are produced. That means it's called as two daughter cells. From this mother cell, the two, actually it was only one amoeba, and it's divided into one, so it makes two. Actually from this it is two daughter cells, we'll call two daughter cells are produced. So in case of amoeba. So another example given in your book is the binary fission of leishmania. Now this leishmania is a protozoa. You would have read it. It causes Kala-Azar disease. So it's a protozoa. So it also divides by the binary fission. Like one will be divided into two half. You can see here. So the nucleus will first divide into two, and when the nucleus is divided, then only the cell will divide and it will form the two different cells. So this is fission. You can have reading of this in your book. It's quite simple. So after this binary fission, so binary fission is when one individual divide into two, but when the individual divide into multiple parts, it is called as multiple fission, and this multiple fission is done or seen in the plasmodium. Plasmodium is also a protozoa which causes the malaria. So here you can see that multiple fission in plasmodium. So only one cell will divide into many different cells, but the division will be from the nucleus. So the nucleus will be separated into very different or 10 or 20 parts, and when the nucleus will divide, the cell will break down and it will form the different cells. The number of nucleus, the number of cells will be formed. So binary fission and multiple fission. After that we comes to fragmentation. Now fragmentation, please do not confuse with multiple fission, because in the multiple fission one individual divides into many individuals by the separation of their nucleus. So the nucleus is divided. Okay, so in the fission it will always be mitosis. Okay, there will be a separation from the nucleus, but not in the case of fragmentation, because in the fragmentation there is just a breaking of the cell. It's not like that the nucleus will divide, that just the body will break into simpler multicellular organisms, and into many pieces, and then they will grow completely into new organisms. For example, if you have just an algae, example Spirogyra undergoes this fragmentation. Like algae, it's a thread like a algae. You would have seen Spirogyra. Okay, it is very, in your class 9th we have read Spirogyra. It's a kind of like this. So it has cells. So in this it will just divide into many pieces. It will just fragmentize, and every part of this fragment will generate into a new organism, or it will form a new organisms. Another example is sea anemone. Sea anemone also reproduce asexually by the help of fragmentation. Next is regeneration. Now regeneration is new for you. Regeneration, as the word describes, is to regenerate. Like any individual, example like worm called planaria. Planaria is a flat worm. So if this is a flat worm, okay, and if it is been cut from here and from here, from two parts, so we have to make sure that the individual has been cut, so it will just regenerate. Okay, this is not the fragmentation, but it is the regeneration. For example, any piece, any individual, any part of the body is cut, so to grow back. Example, we do not undergo regeneration. If we would have, so if our finger is cut by some accident, any individual's finger is cut, they can grow back their finger. So that is called as regeneration, to regenerate any organ. But here we can see that the full organism is generating. From this single organism, there can be now 3 different organisms. Like if it's a single planaria, we can get 3 different planaria by the help of regeneration. So the definition of regeneration would be very easy, that the process of getting back the process of getting back full organism from its body part is called as regeneration. So when we see that there is a development or getting back of a full organism from its body parts, that is called as regeneration. So hydra undergoes budding, but sometimes hydra can also show regeneration, but planaria shows regeneration. So if in any organism any body part is cut, so all the body parts grow, performs growth and development, and the cells quite quite quickly generate into new organisms. Like you would have seen the house lizards, when their tail is cut, they grow their new tail, so that is called as regeneration of their organ. But if we will cut a house lizard into two pieces, it won't be able to regenerate. So they just have the ability to regenerate their organ. Okay, only the tail, not also their fingers. But here in this case, in these organisms, they regenerate into individual. So you have to make sure that there are little difference between multiple fission and fragmentation and regeneration. I want you people to make a separate note in which you can differentiate between regeneration and um, fragmentation and multiple fission. These all things look quite similar, but they are different. So we have to learn about this regeneration and fragmentation and multiple fission. After that, we move to the budding. Now, budding is very easy. Here also has been given an example of regeneration. Like this planaria is cut into 2 or 3 pieces. Then this piece will develop this portion, and this piece will develop the head and tail portion, and this will also develop this portion. So we can get 3 planaria. So this is called as the regeneration. After this, it's budding. So budding is seen in hydra. Like we can call that hydra is it's immortal. It will never die. So if we have one hydra, so it will form a protruding end from any its body part. So this tiny bud will develop here, which will become mature, and after it becomes mature, it will form an individual hydra, and when it will be able to perform all the functions, so it will separate from this. So this is how the budding occurs. And also in the east also, it's seen that it forms a new yeast from the budding. It develops a bud like a structure in the yeast, and when the buds get developed, or when the nucleus comes in the bud, it separates from its parent and it becomes a new individual. So budding. After that comes the vegetative propagation. Now vegetative definition would be: any new plant is obtained from the part of the plant, and the plant can be stems, roots, leaves, without the help of any reproductive organ, is called as vegetative reproduction. We have seen that the green grass grows in the field in the rainy day from the old grasses, and if we throw any many plants like here and there, they just get their roots developed from this stem. So that is also a part of the vegetative reproduction. Example is bryophyllum plant. If you just throw its leaf on the ground, the leaf will form the roots, and then the roots will develop, and then it will develop into a new individual plant. So that is called as a vegetative reproduction or propagation. There are many examples of vegetative propagation in your book. Example is bryophyllum leaf. So this leaf can develop into the new individuals from the leaf itself. Okay, so for now I will again take this portion once again, because we have many things again to do. Like spore formation is left, and then tissue culture is left. So I will take this in the next lecture. Till then, please read the book and try to make notes of this topic, because they're important, and try to solve the questions. Till then, take care and study hard. Thank you.